welcome to the Consultative Forum towards the development of a comprehensive plan for the agricultural sector in Ghana. This gathering is remarkable for the assembly of all the critical thinkers here today. A lot has been said about the transformation focus of the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. This consultative forum towards putting together a comprehensive and integrated agricultural sector agenda in Ghana should be seen as a major pillar to the success of the President's vision. We are encouraged by your presence here. Some of you have traveled far to be here, some on short notice. Most, if not all of you, have set aside so many of the demands on your time to be part of this consultation. On behalf of the President, let me sincerely thank you for coming so that we can benefit from your wealth of knowledge and experience. Let me also congratulate the Minister of Food and Agriculture, Honorable Osuafrie Akoto, Mr. Planting for Food and Jobs, and his team for making this event possible. You have worked really hard. At some point, we thought it wasn't going to be possible to have this event this year, but the President insisted on it and said it has to happen this year. And not only must it happen this year, it must happen before the budget so that we can see what good ideas we can take into this budget, which will be read in a couple of weeks' time. We must feed our population. We must provide raw materials for industry. We must sustain our environment, and we must use our natural resources to generate employment, catalyze rural development, and create wealth. The vision of His Excellency the President is to inject renewed energy and the right spirit to reinvigorate the agricultural sector. This meeting is the President's call to all our smallholder farmers, agribusiness entrepreneurs, processors and manufacturers, service providers and researchers to actively engage all aspects of the agricultural value chains as a business, whether it is in grains, legumes, root crops, poultry, and aquaculture or tree crops. Part of our charge is to motivate our young women and men to view and to engage in agriculture as a viable business. Post-independence, we have tried several initiatives since independence. Post-independence, the next major push for agriculture involved the Operation Feed Yourself program in the campaign to promote local small-scale production. Subsequent governments provided their own impetus to agriculture, provided different leadership and focus, often favoring large-scale capital-intensive production with some support for small-scale production, but with limited consideration on how to push agriculture as a precursor for industrialization. Under the Fourth Republic, successive governments over the past 2 decades initiated fertilizer, seed, mechanization, subsidy, and support programs. There were infrastructure works in feeder roads, irrigation, and investment programs to increase food security and promote value addition. In the past decade and a half, the contribution of agriculture to GDP has fallen behind services and industry, falling as low as 0.8% of GDP in 2011, in part due to the coming of production of oil and gas. Though the sector improved its contribution to GDP to 2.3% in 2012 and 5.2% in 2013, its performance declined subsequently, prompting some observers to suggest that Ghana's agriculture may be suffering from the conventional Dutch disease where agricultural production suffers because of the flight of labor and capital into more lucrative non-agriculture producing sectors. This has been the fate of agriculture in Nigeria and Cameroon, and now both countries are major net importers of food. There have been many policy and program interventions in agriculture since the turn of the millennium, from the Ghana Poverty Reduction Strategy to the Ghana Shared Growth and Development Agenda, GSGA. The Food and Agricultural Sector Development Policy, the FASDEP, was aligned to the Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Program, CADEP. Its corresponding investment plan was detailed in the Medium-Term Agricultural Sector Investment Plan, the METASEP. These policy frameworks and programs were in addition to other donor-supported specific programs, bilateral funding projects, and state-focused programs such as the Outgrower Value Chain Fund, Ghana Agricultural Sector Investment Program, Export Development and Agricultural Industry Fund, the ADIF, and numerous grants aimed at the sector. While these have been helpful, we are yet to realize fully the desired results in modernizing agriculture and transforming the sector to catalyze an industrial growth through agro-based manufacturing. We need consistency and comprehensiveness if the transformational integration process is to provide us the requisite coordination and harmonization for the different initiatives and programs so that we can deal with Ghana's agricultural challenges. Under the leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, this government has set out to address these challenges, beginning with some flagship programs. Planting for Food and Jobs to promote crop production and create jobs. One district, one warehouse to solve the storage and some post-harvest difficulties. One district, one factory for value addition and to provide stable markets for produce. One village, one dam in the Savannah area as an infrastructural support. We have also introduced recently a digital property addressing system which would allow us to locate where farmers are if you're going to get various inputs like fertilizers and seeds to them. At this stage, I would like to crave your indulgence to comment on this digital property addressing system because there's a lot of misunderstanding. And I think I will use the opportunity of this platform to clear some of this misunderstanding. Yesterday, I read that the former president, no less a person than the former president, President Mahama, described Ghana's National Digital Property Addressing System as a 419 scam. When I read his reasoning for such a description, it became very evident to me that he has no clue about what he was talking about and was just engaged in parroting propaganda. I actually had a good laugh. Let me therefore take this opportunity to educate him and others who may think like him about Ghana's landmark digital property addressing system, which has been achieved in less than 1 year and something his government could not do in 8 years. I hope that in all humility, former President Mahama can now accept criticism from me, since by the grace of God I have now occupied the office of Vice President of the Republic. So what is the National Digital Property Address System? The National Digital Property Address System is a national database system that provides the digital address for every landed property in Ghana. Basically, every 5 by 5 square meter property in Ghana has a unique digital address on the grid with the region, the district, and the postcode. Every 5 by 5 square meter piece of space, land that we have in Ghana is uniquely identified by the region, the district, and the postcode. Under this system, we have a total of 16.1 billion addresses that have been generated for the whole of Ghana. It relies, and it's important to note, that this digital addressing system that has been put together relies on surveyed data from the Lands Commission and the latitude and longitudes to generate the postcodes and addresses for every square inch of Ghana. The digital property addressing system comes with the National Address Registry to keep records of all citizens on where they register as their office and their residential addresses. It is a system. The platform comes with open application programming interfaces, or APIs, to allow third-party application developers to integrate the system to be able to translate and use the digital addresses to help facilitate transactions. It is important to note that the National Digital Property Addressing System is independent of Google and any other mapping tool. Google will not give you the postcode, the region, or the district for any particular location. For example, it will not give you a register of data of addresses for every user. If you go to Google and try to find a register of addresses for every user in Ghana, it will look at you and stare you in the face and will not be able to respond. Banks, for example, cannot confirm an address by going to Google Maps, but they can do so through the National Digital Property Addressing System for registered users. It is very, very important, and this is where people like the former president get it wrong. It is very important that we distinguish the National Digital Property Addressing System from the applications that are developed to use the system. We should not confuse the system with the applications. The Ghana Post GPS app is a tool that helps everyone easily know what their address is. It relies on the open APIs of the National Digital Property Addressing System to retrieve addresses for properties across the country. The app, this Ghana Post GPS app, uses maps provided by Google, OpenStreet, ESRI, and Bing to aid its easy identification and navigation. It is expected that many app developers will integrate the apps into the National Digital Property Address System and utilize the address system to push e-commerce and service delivery. One can see organizations such as Ghana Water, ECG, banks, and so on, developing apps using the National Digital Property Addressing System for their own purposes. Cocoa Board, for example, can develop an app using this system to find out where all the cocoa farms in Ghana are located. You can similarly do the same for rice farmers to find out where all of them are located. And we can therefore know how to target them better. Many people have indicated that there are other digital address systems in the world, of course, but those do not distract from the fact that what we have in Ghana, the digital addressing system we have in Ghana, is something that is pretty special. It's pretty special. None of the digital address systems in the world, and I mean in the world, focus on the local relevance in the same way that the Ghana Post GPS platform does. The Ghana Post GPS platforms relies on surveyed data to provide addresses. So the data is consistent with the data as in Lands Commission data. So when they tell you that you are in this region, it's because you are actually in this region as classified by the Lands Commission. These are your boundaries. No other digital platform that we know of has that particular capability in the, or is actually functional in that way. The Ghana Post, as I said, relies on survey data. That means that when you request your address, the platform makes reference to your district and region before determining your address, unlike other platforms that just use mathematics to calculate and assign addresses. The postcode system is built into this platform, utilizes the spiral matrix postcode algorithm to generate the various postcodes across the nation, where the center is postcode 0 and postcode 1 is 500 meters from the center, postcode 2 is 500 meters from postcode 1, going in a spiral until the entire district has been addressed with postcode. A digital address system complete with postcodes is pretty unique. A digital address system complete with postcodes that reference surveyed data is totally unheard of in the world. As far as I am aware, there is simply no digital address system available in the world today that uses Ghana-specific Lands Commission survey data to complete with postcodes. This digital address system that we have implemented is really leapfrogging Ghana into the 21st century. It is no surprise that this system came top after 28 companies, including some of the best companies in the world in this area, expressed interest in the bid process to provide a digital address system for Ghana. I'll now turn to the cost. Ghana is undertaking a project. It's a project to implement the National Digital Property Address System. The cost of the project, as advertised, is $2.3 million, including VAT. It should be noted that this amount of $2.3 million is the total cost of the project. It is not an app. For those like the former president, Mahama, saying this could have been delivered for free, please take note that there is a cost of the public awareness campaign to aid the public education and awareness creation for the digital address system over the next 12 months. You have all seen the Jack Where Are You billboards, internet and social media placements, as well as heard the adverts on radio. There's also an infrastructure setup cost, the cost of servers, production and redundancies, firewalls, operating system and database licenses, as well as the support that have been all included. Third-party licensing fees, as the providers of this system make clear that the platform could run using any map provider such as OpenStreet and Google. To present a seamless user experience, they opted to pay Google for the use of their map services. An Honorable Minister for Communication, Mrs. Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, has made it clear that government will not be paying any more money for any mapping solutions provider when the current term expires. The cost also of physically embossing 4,000 government and other public buildings, the cost of training for all staff of Ghana Post as well as other stakeholders such as NCCE across the nation is included in this cost. So far, over 800 buildings have been embossed with their digital addresses, and more than 500 persons have been trained across the country. More embossment and training are going on. It also includes the cost of 300 smart devices equipped with the offline version of the app that are being deployed across the nation to the staff of Ghana Post and other supporting agencies to assist citizens who do not have smartphones. Cost of testing, that is ground truthing, across the nation to give assurance of the validity of the system. Of course, there is also the intellectual property of the developers. So how could anyone claim that this project could come for free? Would the free givers have given us free public education, free service, free firewalls, free house emboldenments, free training, free smart devices, all of these? It is worth noting that other companies bid as high as 170 million Ghana cedis for this project. In fact, one of the most credible international companies that participated put in a bid of over 38 million Ghana cedis. The National Digital Property Addressing System is therefore value for money. Countries such as the Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and Mongolia are all implementing the National Digital Property Address System similar to Ghana, and none has opted for a free Google or other existing free mapping application. In fact, from the prices quoted by the international main supplier of the digital address systems, all these countries have spent at least 3 times more than Ghana in their digital property addressing system. For the former President Mahama to claim that Ghana's National Digital Property Addressing System and the accompanying Ghana Post GPS app is a 419 scam simply demonstrates a complete lack of understanding of the system. We have been witnesses to 8 years of his governance as Vice President and President, and we know what 419 scams look like. The National Digital Property Addressing System is not your 419 200 million Ghana cedi SADA, guinea fowl, and tree planting scam. It is not your 419 Smarties bus branding scam, and it is not your 419 $23 million runway at Kumasi Airport. It is not your 419 $952 million JIDA scam, and it's not the 419 $14 million mansion for the Vice President. It's also not the 419 657 million Ghana cedi Wyoming, Waterville, and other judgment debt scams. We know a 419 scam when we see one, and that unfortunately was the hallmark of the administration of former President Mahama. Ghanaians will find out more soon, very soon, as people are held legally accountable for all these scams. With the record that the former president has in the area of governance, it is incredible that he would have the effrontery to talk about 419 scams. We have spent $2.3 million on the National Digital Property Addressing System, and I dare say it is money well spent for the benefit of all Ghanaians. It is not money finding itself into the pockets of a few cronies. We did not spend it on guinea fowls or bus branding or overpriced mansions and contracts or ghost roads. We have spent it on something productive. As a result, Ghana has an excellent digital addressing system. If the former President Mahama can take care and some time just to read and learn about it. It was developed by Ghanaians, and we should collectively take pride in their work and not try to pull them down. Work is proceeding. We are motoring on, and the National Digital Property Addressing System will be implemented with the physical tagging of every house next year, as well as the synchronization of the digital address of each property with the address on the utility bills of the property. I should note that propaganda did not help the former President Mahama when he was in government, and it is certainly not going to help him in opposition. We welcome constructive criticism, but before you criticize, please take your time to make sure you know what you're talking about. Otherwise, you would sadly be exposed as being ignorant of simple facts, as is the case. Now that I've gotten that off my chest, I can move. We can come back. Yes. So on the issue of land, We have had successive Land Administration Act projects from 1999. For farming to commence, land is a major building block, and contentious issues of land are nothing new to anyone in Ghana. As Ghana relies heavily on agriculture, forestry, and mining for its economic sustenance, some estimates indicate that these three key sources constitute about 70% of the country's GDP. We need to tackle the issue of agricultural land. This forum has its work cut out in looking at some key examples of success elsewhere in Africa. More specifically, how innovative could we be in the optimal utilization of land? How are we protecting prime agricultural land for alternative land uses? How are we ensuring access to land by the youth and women? And how are we ensuring security of tenure to provide investment in agriculture? The Republic of Rwanda, through the Rwanda Land Management and Use Authority, has made some good progress regarding land administration. There are some lessons to be learned. Our colleagues from Ethiopia will share similar success cases. We don't really need to reinvent the wheel. Ladies and gentlemen, the government under the leadership of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is clear on the synergies and linkages between agriculture and industry. Agribusiness, as the name suggests, has to mean exactly that, business. We need to reorient the small-scale farmer to embrace a modernized approach to their source of livelihood. Our manifesto pledge dwelled on high regard for all our farmers. This is in keeping with our promises and goes beyond the novel attempts to address land issues using technology and research. Issues of improved seeds and other planting materials, issues of optimal pricing, distribution and access to fertilizer, issues of expanded and improved irrigable lands, storage and warehousing, improved food security, and accessible and stable markets via the commodity exchange. I am very optimistic that the work that is going on the Ghana Commodities Exchange will see fruition next year, and we should get a commodities exchange in Ghana by the grace of God. Our focus also extends to ways to increase productivity to feed factories and the industry in Ghana. The preparation by the team assembled by the Honorable Minister is reassuring. The comprehensiveness of the program that you are going to be discussing and the participants and the selection of participants assure me that we should expect some bold, innovative solutions to the challenges of agriculture. The President demands no less. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate the continuing contribution and support of our development partners. We will want to redirect and align the different supports in a very constructive way to the benefit of the Ghanaian people. Our research institutes, our agric research institutes must rise to the challenge, bridge the gap between research findings and practice, and address innovatively some of the deficit claims on local know-how. Agriculture is geology and environment specific, and your knowledge is essential. We invite the financial institutions to re-examine their approach to agricultural financing in order to address the needs of the nearly 50% of the workforce engaged in agriculture. Business as usual will not advance us any further than we are today. We invite our public servants to see themselves as facilitators of business agriculture. Agriculture is a fragile and time-sensitive occupation. Your decisions, licensing, approvals, and service delivery must be responsive, supportive, professional, and in the true spirit of doing the greatest public good. Government will do its bit by signaling its aspirations and determination in the 2018 budget. In fact, the 2018 budget has a huge focus on agriculture. The vision of His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, is to have a plan that is not meant for the shelves. We ask for a comprehensive, innovative, and implementable Ghana agricultural development plan. We have higher expectations of this forum and the work of the technical committee to follow. as major stakeholders, help set the stage towards this ambitious plan to drive and attract investments to this critical sector of our economy. Yes, we have discovered oil, but let us do with agriculture what a finite natural resource could never do for our people. Let's reignite hope towards agriculture. Let's provide confidence for the nearly 50% of our labor force in agriculture and attract more of our youth away from the rush to small-scale and illegal mining. Let's reorient the youth to the more profitable business of agriculture. To this end, I declare this consultative forum open and looking forward to our collective participation in the process.